Olivia and welcome back to Live in Literature. Thank you so much for all the love and support I've received on my last few videos, and if you have not seen them, feel free to go check out the Live in Literature channel, and do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Okay guys, as you can probably tell from my voice, I have a little bit of a sore throat today, but we're gonna make it work. But honestly, my deeper, more sexual, sensual voice kind of matches the topic of today's video. Which is romance book tropes and book recommendations with those tropes.
What is love?
Today I'm going to be giving you my top 3 things that make a good romance novel, and then I'm also going to be giving you a whole list of different types of romance tropes and books that go with each of those tropes, so that you guys have a whole list of different types of book recommendations.
Impressive. Very nice.
So I guess let's just jump right into the video. As you can probably already tell, I'm a very emotional creature. I get very invested into these fake relationships and these romances that are written. I don't know why. I've always been a romantic, literally always been a romantic, even as a kid. My parents can attest, it's embarrassing. I've always been a romantic. I was that girl watching the Disney princess movies and being like
it looks so magical and fanatical, and I just wanted all of it.
I've been dreaming of a true love's kiss, and a prince I'm hoping comes with this.
I just was obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with the fantasy and the romance of life, and I love romance.
You already said that.
I think that it is one of the most strongest, most character-driven things, and human-driven, because not only is it one of the most beautiful things that we can experience in real life, but in literature, it is incredible, and the way that it's written matters. So I'm going to give you guys my 3 things that I think make a good romance novel. The first thing I think that is key to a good romance novel is called the conflict / the struggle.
Anger. The fury.
The muscles.
You have to have a conflict and or a struggle either between characters or a surrounding issue with the characters, that's going on in their lives, to create some driving force to bring them together. I think that the struggle is necessary, whether that be emotional struggle, physical struggle, a struggle of people surrounding characters.
There's gotta be an issue.
If there's no issue,
I got issues, but you got them too.
Then I feel like the book is pointless. If there's nothing driving the plot with an issue, then I feel like I'm not reading it for any good reason. I feel like it's just kind of blah. It's
Boring.
And I think the struggle brings couples together. It brings characters together. It makes them think about their own existence. It makes them think about their existence with another person. And so the struggle is necessary. You got to have the struggle. You've got to have the struggle if you are going to write a romance novel.
Noted.
Number 2, we have my most absolute favorite thing that you have to have in a romance novel, and that is sexual tension.
Good night, Mom.
Good night, Dad.
Yes, you heard me. Let's be real.
If our 2 characters aren't totally madly and deeply in love with each other, at one point or another, we're not gonna care. There has got to be sexual tension. It's got to be palpable. I want to be able to cut the tension in the room with a knife.
I want to be able to feel the intensity between 2 characters just from the way that they look at each other when they walk in a room and they see each other.
That kind of spark. Because that's the thing that we all want. We want that kind of spark.
We want the drawn out, drawstring so tight that it's gonna snap. Oh, snap! And then when it does, it's incredible.
You've got to have the tension. And the thing is, it can't just be immediate. It can't just be an immediate thing. It's got to be built over time. Sexual tension, has to be built. It has to be grown over time.
Until it is so tight that you could just, break into a million pieces.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
So yes, sexual tension is very important. And along with sexual tension, I will also say physical intimacy, whether that be just like kissing, hugs, sex, whatever.
You don't have to worry. When it comes to sex, Marty is the one who wants to wait.
What about that sentence is supposed to give me comfort?
I think physical intimacy is also important to a romance book, to show like connection.
Like, I'm not saying it's gotta all happen at once, but like, let's be real. We're all looking for it. We're all waiting for it.
Why don't you kiss her instead of talking her to death?
Want me to kiss her, huh?
Oh.
Waiting for the big kiss. We're waiting for the final moment when they finally just like confess their feelings and they start making out like crazy, and we're just
like, yes, like finally. I've been waiting all book for you to do this, and they finally do it, and you're just like, yes.
and you're just cheering them on. That's how I feel like when my characters like finally get together and do stuff. I'm just like, woo, like, go kids, I'm proud of you. Like, you guys did it. So proud of you. Like, I feel like that scene in Mean Girls where she's like, you kids need a snack? A condom? I love you guys.
You guys need anything? Some snacks? A condom? Let me know. Oh, God love you.
Like, that is me. I'm like me to all my book characters. I'm like, proud of you guys. Like, way to go.
I'm proud of you. You know that.
But like, you guys did it. Like, you built up the tension and then you like exploded, and it's incredible.
That was friggin' awesome.
And finally, number 3, my biggest thing, I think this is probably the most important thing, is an understanding. I think what we as humans all desire more than anything in the entire world is for someone to understand us and to accept us, like, for who we are, no matter what that is. The ugly, the scary, the gross, the good, the bad, like all of it. Just like all the things that you want someone to accept you for truly how you are.
Just the way you are.
And when that happens in a book and you have that deep understanding between two people, it's beautiful. It's magical. It's like, it's a true like connection of emotions, and it's a true connection of minds and bodies. And you like understand both of these people at a deeper level. And I just love that. And it is essential for me to have in a good romance. In any good romance, you have to have an understanding so that these two people can like finally like join together like as one in like this like harmonious way with all 3 of the things.
Because you have the struggle. They went through the trials. They went through the issues. They sorted things out. They went through all of the muck and the grime and the grit, and now they're like here. And then you build the sexual tension. All throughout the book, they're building the sexual tension. Things are happening. We're looking at each other from a glance. We're brushing hands casually. We're doing all the things, like the heated glances that you can tell they want each other. And then we have our explosion of like finally releasing all of that. And along with that explosion, either before or after, we come to an understanding of like, I love you in the deepest way possible, and I understand you for who you are now, and I accept you.
If no one told you yet you're a genius and an artist, let me be the first.
And so, those are the things I think are key and essential to making a good romance novel. Without those things, I feel like a romance novel just cannot stand. As you know, there are many different types of romances. Shockingly. Wow, are we shocked? No. There's so many different types of romance tropes. We have enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, unrequited love, mistaken identity, arranged marriage, second chance love, forced proximity love. Like, there's tons of different types of love.
How do you know he loves you?
I'll be honest, my favorite type is enemies to lovers, but let's be real, like, that's like everyone's favorite these days.
I'm not like other girls.
I don't know why. I think it's just a new thing that's like popped up recently. I feel like within the past like 5 years,
people love enemies to lovers.
It's everyone's favorite kind of romance. And if I'm being honest, my least favorite kind of romance is friends to lovers. It's so boring. I'm just like,
boo, boring.
She doesn't even go here.
I'll be honest, it's just kind of like, meh, like, it doesn't tickle my fancy. It really is just kind of like boring to me. Whereas like enemies to lovers, you get all the things. You get the struggle, the palpable tension, like the moments.
But wow, what a moment.
I will never forget.
I have read a vast majority of romance novels, and the ones that I'm going to be recommending to you today are within the fantasy genre, the realistic fiction genre, and the historical fiction genre. So, like, I'm recommending all different types of romance books. I know that probably one of these days I got to get around to doing, like, a full, like, true, just romance novels recommendations. But I'll be honest, the majority of what I read is fantasy/historical fiction, and so I do recommend a lot of those because I feel like those romances are so intertwined into, like, the types of tropes that I'm talking about. And so I feel like I have to talk about them when I'm mentioning these types of tropes. I feel like they're essential.
So here are some book recommendations for some of the best romance tropes on the planet. One of my absolute most favorite book tropes is unrequited love. And that is basically, to explain unrequited love, is basically when one person loves another character, but like it's just the affections are not returned.
I love him, but every day I'm learning.
Until later. And so, like, obviously that this can be considered, it could be not considered unrequited love. It could be considered like a growing of love, or like coming around, like kind of a coming of age thing. But I call it unrequited love because it's like, for me, it's so obvious that this one character is so in love with this other character, but the affections are not returned until later.
As the story progresses and they go through the struggle and the sexual tension and the conflict and the understanding, and then it's like, blossom into a beautiful romance.
And so I've already recommended this book before, but it is truly one of the best romances novels I've read. It is a contemporary romance novel. It is Amy Harmon's Making Faces. Now, I've talked about Making Faces before, but this is a true contemporary novel. I could consider it in the YA/new adult area. I would consider it for ages like 16 and up. Basically about a girl in high school who falls in love with a boy. He does not return her affections. He goes off to war. He comes back with all of this like inner struggle and PTSD. And she like helps him kind of solve through that while also going through her own emotional and like inner struggles with like self-esteem and beauty and things like that. And I know that story like literally sounds so fetch and cheesy. You're like, why does this sound like every other Nicholas Sparks movie or whatever?
Say it again.
I want to go with you!
All right, we'll go on.
I promise this book Making Faces is so worth your time. And if you are looking for a good like heartfelt like soul aching kind of read, Making Faces is the book for you. Another one of my all-time favorite book tropes is forced proximity, which means like either people are forced to work together, they're in the same like group of like in the same group of people, and so they're always together, they're in the same work environment, or they're just like they're in the same proximity. Forced proximity is one of my absolute favorite tropes because it forces people to like
go with the tension. They're always feeling the tension. They're always feeling like the
And once again, I'm just gonna keep on recommending Amy Harmon books. Sorry, everyone. Where the Lost Wander by Amy Harmon. And once again, this is also a book I've already talked about. I talked about this one in my best reads of 2020. This was one of the best reads of 2020. And so if you just haven't read this book, you need to read this book. It is a historical fiction. It's a prairie romance, which I am obsessed with prairie romances. I love them. It's basically about two characters, Naomi and John, who are forced to go on the overland trail together. They're just like in the same company of people traveling across the plains. And so forced proximity causes things to happen throughout the journey. Their journey is one of the most gut-wrenching, heart-aching, soul-destroying romances of all time.
Don't you get tired of saying that? I know I'm tired of hearing it.
I even just like look at this book and I get emotional, like emotional. I want to fetch and cry when I think about this book. Their romance is one of the most beautiful and heartfelt things I've ever read in my entire life. If you like historical fiction, this is one of the best historical fiction romances that I have ever read in my entire life, and you should definitely read it. Now time to talk about one of my all-time absolute favorite tropes, which is arranged marriages.
How dare you, all of you, standing around deciding my future? I am not a prize to be won.
The arranged marriage book trope usually ends up being like kind of an enemies to lovers, because it's usually like two people who either don't really know each other or don't like each other being forced into a marriage together and then like figuring it out along the way. And I love that. I absolutely love that. It's beautiful, it's brilliant, and I'm here for it. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about one of the most iconic books that has come out in the past 2 years with one of the best arranged marriage stories of all time. It is Shelby Mahurin's Serpent and Dove. Wow. Serpent and Dove. One of the best arranged marriage stories of all time. This is a fantasy, and I would say it's also in the YA genre. It is a fantasy romance. It is absolutely fabulous. It is an arranged marriage between Lou, who's a witch, and Reed, and so a witch hunter and a witch get paired together for an arranged marriage, essentially, during the book. And it's very good, very spicy, good freaking times. I'm here for it.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
I have many arranged marriage book recommendations, and so I'm just gonna keep listing a couple more. Another arranged marriage book that I absolutely love is called The Bridge Kingdom by Janelle Jensen. I'm pretty sure it's Janelle Jensen. If I screw up her name, I'm really sorry.
No, 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 no.
So this one, The Bridge Kingdom, absolutely died over. Another arranged marriage, two people who literally cannot stand each other being forced into a marriage to like unite two kingdoms, and then like them coming to terms with like their love for each other, and then there's deception, and like it's a mess, but it's really, really beautiful, and it's really cool how these two characters like came together like in the end. And now a really quick shout out to the friends to lovers trope. Yes, I know most of you guys are like,
please give me your friends to lovers. I'm like,
Okay, whatever.
You are a murderer of love!
Okay, fine. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm such a hater of friends to lovers. It's not that I don't like it.
Why you always lying?
okay, fine, I don't like it. But also there are just so many different types of other book tropes that I would rather read than friends to lovers. I just think it's like such a weak trope that I'm like, whatever.
She said, whatever, major loser.
So a friends to lovers book trope and a new Netflix original series that is coming out very soon based on this book is, of course, Leigh Bardugo's Shadow and Bone trilogy. Now, if you have not read the Shadow and Bone trilogy, it is
Very epic, very insightful, very fun, very magical.
That's very nice.
It's all the things. It is one of the most iconic friends to lovers, but also with a twist of a slight enemies to lovers, like in between there. It gets very confusing like throughout the book. It gets very confusing throughout like the story. Overall, it is a friends to lovers like overarching like trope. But let's be real, I'm kind of here for the enemies to lovers on the inside. If you've read Shadow and Bone, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Darkling stan forever. Sorry everybody, I am a Darkling stan. Sorry, it is what it is.
Oh, he's kind of cute. He's a murderer, but he's kind of cute.
And now, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the most iconic and heart-stopping book trope of all time, which is enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers is the superior book trope. Period. I don't care what anyone says. Enemies to lovers is the best. It's the best book trope.
it starts out with the aggression and the passion and the anger, the struggle, the conflict, and then you get the most intense sexual tension. The moments, the kissing, the making out, the moments of physical intimacy are more powerful and heart-stopping in an enemies to lovers than any other type of trope. And then you have the understanding, because they started out enemies and now they're lovers, and it's like a whole unpacking of brutal emotions, and it's raw and it's real and it's everything.
Okay, yeah, you make a good point.
Enemies to lovers conquers. I would be remiss if I did not talk about the most iconic enemies to lovers book, and it is a Jane Austen classic, Pride and Prejudice. Now, most of you are probably thinking
boo, Olivia, Pride and Prejudice.
No. Okay? Anyone who's gonna hate on Jane Austen can leave, can just freaking leave. Jane Austen she was the original OG enemies to lovers. She wrote the OG enemies to lovers. She wrote that. She did that. Pride and Prejudice, incredible. Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth's relationship is everything. If you don't like Darcy, you can just freaking leave.
Mr. Darcy?
Miss Elizabeth?
Are you kidding me? He is the most gorgeous, tender, and kind man, with this hard surface that makes you hate him at first, and then you absolutely love him. You just die over him.
I love you. Most ardently.
And their relationship and the tension between Darcy and Elizabeth is everything. If you have not read Pride and Prejudice, you need to read Pride and Prejudice. And that is why you have to include Jane Austen in this. She's the original OG writer of the Enemies to Lovers. And so thank you, Jane Austen, for this one because we are indebted to you. Thank you for giving us Pride and Prejudice. And now, of course, for something that's a little bit more up the alley of my subscribers, which I assume is up their alley. It is the most iconic Enemies to Lovers fantasy novel. And if you haven't heard me talk enough about her, well, guess what? You're going to hear me talk some more.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Mist and Fury. The most, and I mean most, iconic, heart-stopping, heartbreaking, Enemies to Lovers romance novel on planet Earth. This book, I feel like, turned the tides. I feel like this book changed the freaking game of what is considered an enemy and what is considered a lover. This book rocked the world. It rocked ages.
That's impossible!
The relationship between the two characters, I'm not going to say their names because I don't want to spoil for anyone who has never read A Court of Mist and Fury. The relationship between the two characters in this book is one of the most beautiful stories of all time, of all freaking time. One of the most beautiful, like, overcoming of inner struggle, of personal struggles, of PTSD, of trauma, overcoming together with like the loathing and the hating and the fighting all the time until it evolves into this beautiful thing of like glorious friendship, and then it evolves even further into this thing of like love and passion between these two people. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. So well done, so beautiful.
You are so beautiful to me.
Am I absolutely biased because I love Sarah J. Maas? Abso-freaking-lutely. Is it still the best Enemies to Lovers romance book that I've ever read? Yes. Yes, it is. And I'm not even ashamed to say it. If you want a true good Enemies to Lovers romance book, you need to read the whole ACOTAR series, but especially A Court of Mist and Fury. It is incredible. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, do not forget to like and comment and subscribe to the Live in Literature YouTube channel. And guys, I just wanted to let you know I am setting a new goal for the month of March. During this month of March, I am hoping to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the month. So please, please, please do not forget to share these videos or share my channel with anyone that you know. Please do not forget to subscribe and like ask your friends, family, people that you know, subscribe to the Live in Literature YouTube channel. My goal is to get to 100 subscribers by the end of March. And when I do, maybe I will be doing a certain little giveaway of some certain kind of books. Oh, we'll be doing a drawing. It could be kind of fun. Let me down in the comments what kind of books that you would want if I was to do a drawing for a certain name for the winner of that. But seriously, guys, thank you so much for all the love and support I've received on this channel. It literally means the absolute world to me. I have so been enjoying making these videos, and I cannot wait to keep making more. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!